I get to Rabbi Say, welcome back, Baruch Hashem. We continue with the sugya of Chazara. That's where we left off last week. We were discussing the sugya. What happened to what? We stopped that a while back. We know how to do it already. Okay, let's talk about Chazara, Rabbi Say. Chazara is the sugya of taking something off the fire and replacing it, returning it back to where it came from. And we mentioned there are 5 conditions. We talked about, if I remember, last year was regarding the inyan of if some of the conditions are missing, what is the halacha? Today I want to move on to a different sugya, but of course within the sugya of Chazara. 2 specific sugyas that I want to mention today. One is like this, something we mentioned in a slight little version last year where we talked about the idea of the hot plate being off. Can I move it from one to the other? So I want to talk even a stage before that. Taking something from one blech to another blech, right? Which could be negeya. For example, if this, I've got one in the kitchen or I've got one in the dining room and I want to change it from this one to that one, or there's not enough space, I want to move things around, or whatever it may be. Generally, moving things around like this. There's a Ramah in Reish and Gimel, where the Ramah says in Siv Beis very clearly that you are allowed to take something from one blech to another blech. There is no problem taking a pot of food that's on a blech, fully cooked, boiling hot, ala milas, and moving it from one blech, hot plate, crock pot, whatever it may be, into another crock pot, blech, hot plate, whatever it may be, providing that we have all of the conditions. The conditions, as we know, being hot, blech, and fully cooked. If I have all of those conditions, then I am 100% okay. What's important to note is as follows. What is the din? And this is quite negay when you're not using a hot plate. A hot plate basically is one ish. When you have a hot plate, it's one piece of fire, it's one shtick fire, right? The element goes all over the place in different ways, and therefore there's no place generally on most hot plates. Some hot plates do have a hotter area and a cooler area, like one is a warmer and one is actual hot. But I'm talking about a regular, normal Israeli hot plate that you get in this country that you see in yeshiva. There's black hot plates, you plug them in, off they are, it's a regular piece of fire, it's a shtick of fire. Therefore, to move the chicken soup from one area on the hot plate to another area in the hot plate is a vadamuta. Why? What did I do wrong? I just moved it from fire to fire, but it's all one piece of fire, and therefore, what do you mean no?
One area is harder than the other.
No, it's not. And even if it is, in every place on a hot plate, it has the ability to heat something to yad ledis boy. So it could be that under the coil itself, I hear, but if it's slightly away, maybe in thermometer-wise, it will be slightly less in temperature. But at the end of the day, it has the same ability to make something to yad ledis boy. Right, Nosameh, are you with me? Therefore, to move something around on a hot plate, Eli, is good. Raf, yeah? Got that? One hot plate, one fire. What if you use a blech with a fire underneath it? What happens if you've got a big blech and you've got a fire in one corner? Let's say if you've got 4 burners and one burner is on, or 2 burners, let's just make it easy. One burner is on and I've got a big blech. Now the blech generally come in a big sheet, right? Everyone's seen them before, and it covers generally all 4 burners. And even if one is on, so then, okay, it's covered, it's a blech, and therefore I could do Chazara be'etzem to that place if I take it off and do all the other conditions. What about moving from one area of that blech to another area and back? What's the din? So I want to split up the blech into 3 sections. The 3 sections are as follows. There's number 1, we'll call it, under the fire itself. In other words, above the fire area itself, that's area number 1, we'll call it. Area number 2 is not directly above the fire, but around the fire. It's around the fire. It's still pretty hot over there. Still pretty hot, but it's not directly over the fire. Rafi, with me? And number 3, we'll call it, area number 3, Rafal, is where? Much further away, on the other end of the blech. Right? There's no fire there. It's basically, it's like warm, maybe over there. David, yeah? Luke, what? Lukewarm. Thank you, Ben. Okay, thank you very much. So what's the din to take something from area number 1 and put it on area number 2, for example? Yeah? Now, maybe we'll go a step back. To put something on area number 1, dus avad on Shabbos, nesin lechatchil is also, right? Aaron, you masking with that one? Right, to take a schnitzel fully cooked from the fridge and put it onto directly area number 1, this avada is also, you have to take an overturned thing, unless you go with the Shulchan Aruch Harav, it's a different svara, but on Koponim generally, you can't put something on area number 1, because that's ala eish. That's Mexican, Mavashal, Einach Mexican, Mavashal, Gadoli, Mizu, Mamedi Vitzosa. Now, taking it from area number 1, let's move on. Now, area number 2. If I put something from area number 2, can I put it to area number 1? Oh, Zukufal, if it's hot, what's the problem? So he's right. If the area number 2 is an area that something could get to Yatzaledis boy, so Be'etzim it's the same thing as number 1. It's a place of obishal. Mimela, from number 2 to number 1 is okay. What about number 3? Hello? It's very negay, by the way, because sometimes you don't have space around the area of the fire, so you put a few things around it. And before you know it, there's some containers that are far away, and you want to move them a little bit closer. You took off the chicken soup, now I want to move it slightly closer in, so it gets hot. Right? You can imagine such a thing, right? That would be what? From number 3 to number 2 and number 1. It's if it's not on it. What? It's number 3. It's like, if you've got the papers, right? So you've got the fire over there is area number 1. Area number 2 would be like somewhere like over there. This is area number 3. So if you got something in area number 3, can I move it to area number 1? Raf, what do you say? Not really. Go on, why not? It's not on the fire, basically. There's no shaykhs deish. Mimela, that will be nesina lachatchila. That will be asa. Okay. So now that we've got that, I want to ask the olam the following kasha. What about this? What about this? This is very, very negaya. What if you have a pot of chicken soup on the fire, on the hot plate, on the ash that's on the blech, whatever, and I've got a container on top of that pot, and that container is keeping it nice and warm, and there's no space to put it on the hot plate itself. I would like to, but there's no space. So I put it on top of the chicken soup. You ever saw someone do such a thing? It happens, right? You do it with bread, people do it with all sorts of things, right? They put it on top of the chicken soup. Yeah? Eliezer, you with me? Levi, you got it? The container's on the chicken soup. I take the chicken soup off. Can I put that container now down on the blech? Hello? Anybody with me? Ma'aseh b'chol Shabbos, by the way. Master Meir, what do you say? Machala, no? Why not? Why not? What's that? Oh, zuk machala nesin lechatchila. What do you mean? It wasn't on the fire. Now by lowering it down and putting on the fire for the very first time, people do this all the time on Shabbos Kodesh, by the way. Right? People do this all the time. They put the kegel on top of the chicken soup because there's not enough space on the hot plate. When they take the chicken soup off to serve the chicken soup, Gavaldi, now I have space on the hot plate. Let me put the kegel right down. I'm talking about directly down. I'm not talking about on top of something else, right? Directly.
The chicken soup gets super hot.
On top of the chicken soup gets super hot? I doubt it. It's not going to heat it to Yatzaledis boy. It's not going to heat it to Yatzaledis boy. And that's not considered to be Mexican mabashal. Meaning, when you put a kegel on top of a chicken soup, no one's going to say, ooh, you're cooking. No one's going to say that, right? But when you put it on the black, people are going to say that. No, that's Mexican mabashal. Follow you with me? Vivaldi. So you're allowed to or not? Rabbi say, unfortunately, people do this every single Shabbos. Are you allowed to do this or not? 100% it's cooked. I'm asking to you. It's Mexican mabashal, right? No, that's okay. To make it more cooked is not a problem. It's a davi yavish, no problem. Bishul, I'm not over on. But Mexican mabashal, I am. Aaron, are you with me on this? You look puzzled. It's good, no? Huh? That's a gavaldige kasha. Why does everyone do it? I don't know. So I'll tell you the eitzah. This is probably pshat. Let's be malamed discuss on Klal Yisrael. I heard this gavald. First of all, the Chazanish said what I just said, but I remember speaking over the guy I got over Falk Zatzel, and he told me the following eitzah, which is a gavaldige eitzah. I never saw this eitzah anybody everywhere else, but this Aaron probably is what people do. This is why they do it, because they do this eitzah. So Mustamer, it's okay. What's the eitzah? The eitzah is like this, Rabbi say, gavaldige eitzah. The eitzah is, before Shabbos, put that kegel directly on the hot plate. Put it directly on for a few seconds, whatever, hold it. Pick it up, put it on top of the chicken soup now. It's ki'ilu, it was oide biyodai the whole time. So when I put the kegel directly on the hot plate after the chicken soup vacates the area, it's chazara. Oide biyodai, daito laksa, ala miles, warm, fully cooked. Boom, I can put it straight on the hot plate on Shabbos Kodesh. I don't have to worry about anything else. Gavaldige eitzah Falk told me that you're allowed to do that. Erev Shabbos, put it on, so it's on there, lift it up. Now it's kilo oide biyodai because I want to put it back down when the chicken soup leaves. Move the chicken soup, whenever you do that, you can put the kegel directly on the hot plate. It's a gavaldige eitzah. Aaron, this is pshat. This is what people do. They do that. Memela, that's the pshat. There's not a problem. Okay. Gavaldige Rabbi say. I will tell you. Chacham ben Sia Rabba Shaul in the Olet Sion brings down a very similar eitzah to this as well. So he also goes like this. Chacham ben Sia Rabba Shaul. Unbelievable. You know the Maisa of the Chacham ben Sia Rabba Shaul. Everyone knows the Maisa, no? Everyone knows the Maisa. He came into yeshiva one day with 2 ties on. He came in with 2 ties. I said, Rebbe, I understand 2 pairs of tzitzis. This I hear, understand. This I hear. We've seen this before. Oh, but 2 ties? So now Zach, what's got? He looked at him. I can't believe it. I was up the whole night, as you do, learning at the dining room table. I woke up in the morning, got to go to yeshiva. Ripped on a tie, ran to yeshiva. Didn't even chap that he was dressed for the night before. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But anyway, I'll kapon him. That is the sug over there. It's interesting how Tzvi has a similar shaila. He's mistapik about this shaila. But I'll kapon him. Rafal told me that's an eitzah. Boy said it's a moedika eitzah you guys could use in your homes when you get married. People don't know this eitzah. Use the eitzah. It's a gavaldige eitzah, an important eitzah. Let's move on to Rabbi Say next sugya. This sugya is called Pina Mimechem Lemechem. Very interesting sugya in the Gemara. I'm going to read you the Lashon Gemara. The Gemara says, Shabbos Lamed Ches Amud Beis. Boy Rav Ashi. Pina Mimechem Lemechem Mahu. What is the din with taking something from, we'll call it, one pot to another pot? Let me tell you the simple case of the Gemara. The simple case, again, I should not say it's simple. It's not simple. It's complicated in the Rishonim, how you learn Pshat, the Ran, the Rashba, the Ritva, Ayin Shomul, the Mefoshim. But in a simple understanding, art scroll of the Gemara goes like this. If I have a pot of chicken soup on the fire, can I take this pot of chicken soup, pour it into another pot, and then take the second pot and put it on the fire? Pina mimechem lemechem mahu. In fact, the Gemara, what's the din? The Gemara does not answer the kasha. The Gemara does not come up with a psak over there, right? So it's a shaila exactly what goes on. Major shaila in the Rishonim, how do we paskin? The Mogen Avram Lemaisa is machmeh. The Mishnah Berurah and the Heilige Sharetzion is mekel. What does this mean? That means, halacha lemaisa, okay, this could be nageh. Let's say a chicken soup is in too big of a pot, I've got no space, so let me pour it into a smaller pot and put the smaller pot back on the hot plate. Very simple shaila. So halacha lemaisa, just like I'm allowed to take one pot and move it to another pot, another flame, another blech, there's no problem doing that on Shabbos. So too, halacha l'maisa, we're making that what you could do is you could pour it into another pot, and that pot you could put onto the fire. So now here's the shaila, huh? You're cooling it down, but it's still yad seledes boy. And as long as it's oida biyadai, yad seledes boy, according to Ashkenazim, it doesn't have to be yad seledes boy. It can even be lower than yad seledes boy. It can be nice and warm. According to Sfaradim, it has to be yad seledes boy. It's for sure yad seledes boy. It may be in a klisheni, but that's the shaila of the Gemara. I'm allowed to take them and put it on. Lemaisa, without getting too much involved, the Mishnah Berurah Lemaisa is mekel. Now let me give you something that's very nagaya. And what we're going to do is we're going to pose the shaila. I'll give you what we say, and I'll tell you halacha lemaisa tomorrow. We're going to go through a brand new sugya within this sugya to explain a whole different parasha. When you fill up, let's say for example your cholent is burning or it's missing liquid. What do you do on Shabbos? Reuven, what do you do on Shabbos if the cholent is missing liquid? It's getting dry out. I can already see it's drying out. You put some water in. Excellent. Where do you take the water from? First, hot. Let's not say some answers out loud and the names that said those answers because it's on video and I don't want to spoil anyone's shidduch chances over here. Where am I taking the water from, Rabbi Say? I'm taking it from the urn. Why am I taking it from the urn? Because that's hot, right? Bishul. Okay, very good. How are you getting it from the urn to the cholent? You have to lift up the urn. You lift up the whole urn? What do you do? Huh? 1 second, Rabbi, so we're trying to figure this out. Hold on a second. The recipe. How do you put water in your cholent on Shabbos Kodesh? Very, very important. You either, Rabbi said, you either be chayiv skili or not. It's up to you. Like, you have to figure this out. What do you are?
The same way you take from it Friday night.
How do you take from it?
Hold it up a little bit.
What? Hold what?
The pot.
The chum pot?
Yeah.
Okay, hold it up, okay.
And you take some out.
Some cholent out?
No, instead of doing that, you do
that as well.
Where do you get the water from though? And but it just magically goes from the urn all the way down to the cholent? How does it work? Oh, you put it, what?
bring the urn.
You bring it to the urn?
You take the cup.
You take it out, you take a cup. Oh, so you put a cup there?
Into the...
Ooh.
Bring it to the urn.
You're Sfadi, right? Uh-oh. Okay. So that's what you used to do, you're saying? That's what you used to do. Okay. So Rabbi said we have this exact shaila. What is the din of putting water into a cholent on Shabbos Kodesh? Maisim b'chol Shabbos. What do? You want to put it in. So let me tell you like this. First of all, like this. There is obviously a shaila. Okay, maybe we'll start this around. Can I take a klisheni? Can I take a cup, put it under the urn, open the switch, take some water inside there, and pour it into the cholent? Obviously, when it's not on the fire, like Reuven said so beautifully, it's not on the fire because that's a shaila of what? If I did it on the fire, what's the problem? What? No, not bishul, everything's fully cooked. What's the shaila of? No, everybody knows this. Huh? No. What would be the problem with putting the water in on Shabbos in the actual crock pot? No, Rabbi said everyone knows this. Everybody does this. Mexican mavashla, it's fully cooked. Oite biyada, it's Chazara. Hello. Reuben was basically right. You basically meramis to this. You know they say in yeshivish places, no say better. Megis. When you pour the water in, it mixes things around. Even ala eish, even if it's fully cooked, shita sal kolboish and yutches, if yutches, the halacha lemaisa, v'choishish, and therefore you can't do that. So avada, you can't put the water in while the chulant is on the fire. Just avada, everybody knows. That's poshus. Like Reuven says so beautifully, you take it out, hold it in your hand. I don't know how. By the way, technically it's quite difficult. You have to hold it in your oide biyada. You also have to get that cup, and that also has to be oide biyada, and you have to pour it in. It's like a whole mahalach over here. Guys, don't chap the lumdus that goes on with adding water into a chulant on Shabbos Kodesh. So it's an avoida. It's poshus an avoida. What machala? It's an avoida. Huh? Away from, meaning off the crock pot.
Let's say in the crock pot you put something to lift.
But if it can remain yad lettuce by, it's considered ala ish. If it's ala ish, then you can't add any water over there, unless you hold to the chazon ish, and that way you hold that there's no such thing as a blech. Mimela, once you take it off, it'll be awesome to put it back on, which I'm sure most people are not knowing, but if you are, then so then you have to be soymech on the shita that maybe the cold boy, if you do it slowly, Shabbos brings azar shita efsha. But if you hold of a blech, you take it off in gansen.
Why do you have to keep it meditating in the air? Why you pull it all the way out and put it like on the counter or whatever?
Put what out? The shulant? You're good. You can take the shulant out of the crock pot, put it on the counter, keep holding on to it with your other hand, water in, that's gavaldik. But the problem I say is this. The problem is pinim mimechem lemechem means that once the water goes from one kli to another kli, the Gemara is a kasha, and the Gemara doesn't answer it, and then we're going to Ram is machme. But that's of the poskim is when you go from kli to kli. In other words, when you take the chicken soup for one kli and you put it into another pot, and that pot you put on the fire, that's efsha the shayla of the Gemara. But over here it's worse. Why is it worse? Because over here you're putting it into another kli in between. It's much worse of the poskim. So what do you do over here? Are you allowed to put the water from the urn into a cup and from the cup into the chulun? That's the shayla. Halacha l'maisa, Rabbi Say. Let's just do this quickly. Good. So Maisa again. Rabbi Say. Shabbos Lamed Ches Amud Beis has a kasha. The Mogen Avram l'maisa is machme. The Shatzion is mekel, which means, according to the Shatzion, according to the Heilige Mishnah Berurah, the halacha is that I'm allowed to put it into a cup and then put the cup into the actual chulun. That's not a problem. Pina meichel meichem, we're mekel on that, even in this case, that it goes from an urn to a cup to the chulun pot, that's okay. The Mogen Avram, which Lemaisa Pashtus, the Balatanya, Shulchan Aruch Harav, versteht sich, Rav Elyashiv, and others held to be machmi, that you can't. So somebody called me up, he says to me, this was years ago, he says, when I go to Rav Elyashiv, do you have a kasha for him? So I said, I have this kasha. He said he was able to ask one kasha. This was the kasha that I asked him to ask Rav Elyashiv. What should you do? Should you use a cup and put it under the urn, hot water, and put it into the chulun that way? Or do you, like some of the olim suggested, maybe Asher, you suggest this one, you pick up the whole chulant and you put it under the urn itself. But then I have a problem. What do I have a problem with that? Zug Aaron, fleischig. It's going to be fun, fleischig. What's become fleischig? The spout. And then tomorrow morning, big tzaddik will have coffee before Shachris. Or Chaim Shimon Peites, I don't know. Yeah, no. I'm not getting involved with coffee before Shachris, I don't know. Ayin Shom. Why? Because, why do we come fleischig? Aaron, tell him. The steam, Zayah. Everyone knows the Shulchan Aruch and Yodei Simon, Tzadi Beis. Very clearly, Sivches, Mishnah Mechshirin, the Rosh over there, Tshuva Sabach, Piskei Tshuva brings it down. That if you have the Zayah goes straight into the spout. So I asked him to ask Rav Elyashiv, what should you do? So Rav Elyashiv L'maisa said it's a better eitzah to put it under. But here's the eitzah. Lift up the lid first, so that the initial gush of the zayah, of the steam, that fleischig, goes out. No, it's a little bit zayering, it's a little bit steaming. That little bit of steam, we've spoken about this before. If you remember before Shavuos, we discussed that, right, in Arichas. And Rosh Yeshiva of Scheinberg passed this way, Alocha Lemaisa, that zayah that's got a place to go, it's not in a confined space, is not going to be asering anything. Mimeli will not make it fleischig. So it comes out, according to Elyashiv, it's better to take the chulun pot itself and put it under the urn and open the spout that way. And this way you got no problems of pinim and mechem. But what most people in Klal Yisrael do is, especially it's quite difficult to lift it up and put it under the thing, it's low down, it doesn't always work, it's complicated. complicated is to do pinam memechem lemechem, which according to the Shatzin is mutter even through a kli, and therefore I can take the cup as long as it's oida biyada the whole time, and as long as my cholent is not on the fire, that's something else. Tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to try to give an entire share dedicated to this, which is adding water to the cholent on Shabbos Kodesh. There's 5 different isurim that a person could be over on. Join us tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.